So I think many of us have this problem when we are trying to eat healthy or to get fit or be on a diet or whatever, and somehow we always get tripped up when there's junk food in our path, whether it's free food at work, which I have problems with, or just temptations when you're going out and people want to go eat all this unhealthy, bad junk food and whatnot, or if you're at the grocery store and you just want to get those chips because they're so satisfying, or French fries from McDonald's or something like that, right? Whether you have a sweet tooth or you like more salty or savory stuff. And so I used to work at a company in my last job where there's always free snacks and food, and it was so hard to resist, especially in our office, whenever someone grabbed a snack and you can hear them opening the chips or popping open the Coke or whatever they're eating or drinking, and it just hearing that stimulus of the sound of the packaging or whatever, and it makes you just want to grab it and just have that that rush of whatever it is, the salty or the sweet. And it was hard, it was tempting, and I know a lot of friends of mine who say that when they started new jobs, they're just sitting all the time, and then sometimes there's snacks and they couldn't help but eat it. And so eventually I had this aha moment when I read in a book, or maybe it was a podcast, about this guy who he was studying abroad in the UK, and he didn't have a lot of money. He was a student, so he would force himself to, he could only really eat the bare minimum, right? Fruits, veggies. He couldn't even afford meat or anything like that. And so what he did was he would figure out all the food that he could buy, but then he had to optimize that food. So he would meticulously track how each food made him feel, right? And so he found that certain foods like meats or certain carbs like bread or something like that wouldn't make him feel good. So he categorized foods into foods that made him feel bad, foods that made him feel neutral, like meh, and then foods that actually made him feel great. And I don't remember exactly, but I know that green apples were on the list of things that made him feel great. And some other veggies, not all veggies, some veggies made him feel okay, but some veggies, I think like lettuce or cabbage or something like that, made him feel awesome. And so then he would start optimizing and just only eat those things. And then at the end of it, he came back, and he didn't work out a day this whole time. Like, he used to be an athlete in college, and for this period, I don't know, it was like a year or something, he came back, and then he went to the gym for the first time in a year and worked out with his brother, and he was able to max out all of the machines. And for those who don't know, maxing out means all the possible weight on the machine, you put it all the way down to the bottom so you can lift everything that the machine can, like the total amount of weight that the machine provides, right? And so but he was skinny. He was noticeably way thinner. He lost like 20 or 30 pounds or something like that from just eating this diet and low protein, but just food that made him feel good. So anyways, I had this moment where I was like, okay, let me do something similar and figure out what foods make me feel good and what foods don't make me feel good. And so I would find that obviously packaged processed junk food like chips or soda would make me feel like crap. Or even desserts like ice cream or frozen yogurt or taiyaki ice cream from Somi Somi or anything like that, or boba drinks would make me feel like crap. And even heavy foods from restaurants that have a lot of carbs, like, French fries or rice or whatnot, or heavy meats. But then I found that when I eat things like salad that's lighter, that it would make me feel good. And then so I would start consciously, after I felt, past the initial rush of sugar or salt of whatever I was eating, 10-15 minutes later, I would assess how I feel, and then more often than not, almost always, the junk food makes me feel like crap, whereas the healthy food, higher in vegetables, fiber, fruits, and lean meats would make me feel great, and I would feel energized afterwards. And so I started to do that, and what I found was, over time, I stopped craving these foods because I started removing that disassociation of happiness with eating those short sugar rush, salt rush foods. I stopped associating that with happiness because I would associate the after feelings, the feelings 10, 15, 20 minutes later with that food. So then whenever I saw those foods, I'm like, I'm not going to feel that good. eating that food. But then when I saw a salad, even just picking up a salad from Trader Joe's or getting a salad at a restaurant, when I started getting that, I'm like, hey, I think, like, I know this makes me feel way better than what I would get on this side of the menu. And so I would start doing that. And that was a big thing for me. And that helped me to train myself to like eating healthier foods and to cater my palate towards foods that made me feel good. And so that's my thought for the day, is really take note with how foods make you feel and optimize your diet and what you eat and what you like around those foods that make you feel awesome.